And everybody's telling us about this fantastic business case, which we've already heard about the last 2 days here, that when you have more gender equality in a company, the company does better. Financially and socially, it's more sustainable, people are happier, the workforce is happier, and really companies get a higher financial return when there's gender equality. So based on that business case, I thought, how can we measure gender equality in the companies? And I turned to the webs, because they already exist. Like Anna was telling us, since 2010, why reinvent the wheel? They're fantastic, they're all there. So Equilib took the webs, and based on the webs, we created a gender scorecard to score gender equality on companies with 19 criteria. And our first project this year was to look at the large caps in the world, like Sodexo. So we said, let's go look at the largest companies around the world based in the 23 developed economies, because that's where most of the money is at. So again, we're following the money and we're trying to find it and use it to our benefit. So we found 3,000 companies around the world in the 23 developed economies with a market cap, like a value of the company of 2 billion or more. And we ranked them and we researched them based on our scorecard with 19 criteria. And this gave us the top 200. And what we've done with this information is that, one, we've given it to the world by producing this report, and I believe that you have a copy of the report, and I'm happy to give a copy to anyone. You can also download it from our website. We produced this report which has the top 200 companies with the highest gender equality. And I'm very proud to sit in this panel because Sodexo is number 4 of all these large companies around the world. So congratulations. And we said, these are the 200 companies, large companies around the world doing the best. And we researched whether they're giving equal pay, whether they're giving maternity leave, paternity leave, whether they have an anti-sexual harassment policy, whether they're using women-owned businesses in their supply chain. Now with that data, what we're doing is giving these reports for free, but we're also giving this data to asset managers and we're charging them so that they can build investment portfolios with our data and create these investment portfolios which we know will create more money for the investors. Nice. And that's what, so at this point we're hoping that at some point we sell enough data that we can cover our costs. And when we have a surplus and when we make a profit, we will use that profit to support projects for women and girls around the world.
Okay, wow, very interesting.
Thank you. But thank you for the webs, because it made our life much easier. We have the methodology.
You know, it's great at the UN. There are many things we create like that at a global level. And it's great to know that they're used and actually creating transformation. So thank you all of you for biting and taking it on, okay? So Anna, a question. Japan and Turkey have the most companies. Do we see an equal sort of transformation of the economies of Japan and Turkey because they have the largest number of companies that are signatories of the WIPs?
Very good question. Is it working?
Yeah.
I mean, we have 230 plus companies in those two markets, which is peanuts. We need to have thousands for it to have a transformative change in the economy.
So there's a critical mass where we will begin to see transformation in terms of
you have micro transformation within the companies that are working and implementing, but if you want to see the big transformations that we want to see in the market, we need to have many, many more companies. And I'm so glad for Alice to have committed to making UAE the largest number ever, and we are not happy with 250. It needs to be as tall as the tallest building.
Challenge is set, but I might have to give up my day job.
That's already happening. Yeah, because I think, Alice, on this one, so where are you setting your sights? I mean, you've got 25 companies who are registered. What does that actually mean? And why those 25? Why did they sign up? What is it that they see that's promising, and why should somebody else sign up? Why should you get the 26th signature?
Well, I think the first thing, I mean, we're a very new initiative and such in the UAE. Whilst WEPS has been there since 2010, The UN Global Compact only really adopted it a year ago, and when I first started having conversations with companies about WEPs, they really knew nothing about it at all. It was literally unheard of in the UAE. So we thought, how are we actually going to do this and make a difference? But the one thing that I did find, which was kept on happening, was everyone that I spoke to about WEPs was like, okay, cool, how can I get involved? So that was really positive. So we decided to create this task force, which is 40 organizations. Now, not all of them are WEP signatories, because some of them are academia. Some of them are micro-organizations who are, we call them WEPs volunteers, who all dedicate time on a completely pro bono basis to try and recruit on a business-to-business networking perspective, to try and recruit companies to come and sign up. We have a media team who do a lot of social media. We're on Twitter, we're on LinkedIn, we're on Facebook. So, you know, that was really our starting step. I mean, what we're finding here is, first of all, we've got to tell everyone about WEPs, and then I think we're going to hopefully achieve Anna's target of 1,000 people. I'm getting quite hot.
So we need that critical mass. Anna, just to go back to the question about Japan and Turkey, if we were to look at these 7 WEPs, 7 principles, what do we see as the biggest take-up in some of these companies? Is it leadership that they focus on, you know, establish high-level corporate leadership? Is it that they pick up on enterprise development and supply chain? Do they tend to work across all 7, or do they just pick one and say, I'm a WEP signatory, but I'm going to focus on one issue?
So I think it depends a little bit on the context. So picking Japan, for example, where the Prime Minister himself has made great commitments to change the situation in Japan.
He's a he for she, is he not? Yes, he's a he for she.
He's a he for
champion.
She.
Yes.
And that has also put a focus in November, for example. It was the remote working month. And that the leadership comes from the country leadership level, and not only the company, also helps to drive the companies to kind of create this kind of change. And Japan specifically have the challenge that women have had to choose between working or having a family. So the work-life balance issues covered under number 2, the recruitment, retention, promotion, etc. is very, very important. You can look at other countries where you can see, for example, in Canada, which is an interesting model, where companies are only covered at provincial level, not at the federal level, by the legislation, and that province by province have picked up some of these issues. And we have had discussions, for example, with the Ontario Pay Equity Commissioner, that is actually saying that they have built a legislation in such a consultative mode that companies are in it. They have